35, 35. OH06, 64. I-23, 23. OH75, 75. B6. G46, 46. I-16, 16.
Bingo.
We have a bingo.
I had 41.
Any other bingo? Any other bingo? Got another one? Any other bingos? We're going to take a break for Congressman Johnson.
Okay, as promised, we have Congressman Johnson here this morning to discuss or talk about issues with you on a question-and-answer type basis. You'll make a few statements in advance. You've asked questions. I've got about 3x5 cards in this little box. Can't hear it?
Can't hear you.
Oh well. What else is new? And we'll draw the cards out randomly, and I'll ask the questions, and hopefully he will answer them. We also will have the back room here set up. If you have personal issues or private issues you would like to discuss personally with the congressman, you can go in there and close the door with him and talk to him individually about any issues you may need help with or assistance with. Okay, so we'll get started. First off, we have Congressman Bill Johnson. He was born and raised on family farms. He learned early the values of hard work, honesty, and sacrifice. He entered the U.S. Air Force in 1973 and retired as a lieutenant colonel after a distinguished military career of more than 26 years. He graduated summa cum laude from Troy University in Alabama in 1979. He earned his master's degree from Georgia Tech in 1984. He was the director of the Air Force's Chief Information Staff Officer and U.S. Special Operations Command. Johnson worked directly with top leaders within the various U.S. intelligence community to ensure America's Special Operations Forces were adequately equipped to carry out critical national security measures. He's a proud recipient of the Air Force Meritorious Service Medal, the Air Force Commendation Medal, and the National Defense Service Medal. Following his retirement from military, he turned to creating and building high-technology businesses, and also serving as the executive leadership team as Chief Information Officer of a global manufacturing corporation. In 2010, Johnson was elected to his first term to represent the people of the Ohio 6th District, which we are in, which covers much of eastern and southeastern Ohio. He currently serves on the Veterans Affairs Committee, where he is chairman of the Oversight and Investigation Subcommittee, as well as sitting on the National Resources Committee and Foreign Relations Affairs Committees. Additionally, he is a member of the House Senate Shale Caucus, and you know that's becoming a big issue in this area. Bill and his wife Leanne, and I'm sorry that we did have one question come in that was asking if you were married, and we figured out to take care of that right off the bat. He'll currently reside in Marietta, Ohio, with his son Nathan. He is also the proud 3 grown children, and their grandfather of 5. Ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Bill Johnson.
I appreciate that, Jim. You can, you know, that bio gets longer and longer every time somebody reads it, so I apologize for that. The first thing I want to do is apologize for interrupting your bingo game. I've got an 80-year-old mother, and there are 2 times that she will not talk to me. Any other time she'll call me and she'll want to stay on the phone for hours. But if she's playing cards or she's playing bingo, she wants to get off the phone pretty quick. So I do apologize for interrupting your game. Hey, he told you that I was born and raised on the family farm. That is very true. In fact, we farmed with mules up until I was about 13 years old. I know some of you can probably relate to that. We used those mules, and I told that story once to a group in Washington, D.C., and they said, the guy stopped me and he said, well, that's silly. How come you use mules? Why didn't you use a tractor? I said, well, we didn't have a tractor. He said, why didn't you borrow a tractor? I said, sir, you don't understand. We had to borrow the mule. My granddad and I would walk a couple of miles with 2 5-gallon buckets of corn. And that's what we paid for the mule with. That's back in the days when a handshake was better than a contract. When a person's word meant something. And I long for those days. That's the character that I was raised with. You know, we live in the greatest nation on the planet. And our founding fathers gave us an unbelievable start with a constitution that puts the power of control of the greatest nation on the planet in our hands. You know, what is it that makes America so exceptional? It's many, many things, but it's an idea that we can accomplish anything. Let me tell you a little story that will bring that into focus. One of the most humbling moments that I've had since you chose me in the 6th District of Ohio to be your voice in Washington was when I stood on the House floor as the Prime Minister of Australia addressed a joint session, the Senate and the House. Is this ringing? Is this bothering anybody? The speaker? Everybody can hear okay? All right. And she started her speech off this way. She said, you know, I remember being a young girl, sitting on the floor of my living room, watching Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin land on the moon, thinking to myself, wow, those Americans can do anything. She went on to talk about America and Australia's engagement together, how we had stood side by side to address many of the world's problems, how America had stood actually in front of Australia and protected her during World War II in the Pacific. She went through many examples, and at the end of her speech, she closed by saying, you know, I'm not that young girl anymore. Today, I'm the Prime Minister of our country. And yet, I still believe that Americans can do anything. And when she said it the second time, with such power and conviction, it was like you could feel a cleansing breath take place in the House of Representatives. It's not that we don't believe that concept, that America can do anything, but we're certainly not living it these days. And we certainly don't hear our national leaders talking about it these days. There is so much sage wisdom in this room right here. And one of the reasons that I look forward to days like this is because I get to hear from you. See, I still go to my mother for counsel and wisdom because she's a lot smarter than I am on most things. And you are too. Many of you have been through trials and tribulations, and you've seen America at its finest, And you've been through periods of time when America has suffered. And that's wisdom that cannot be replaced. And I appreciate so much the opportunity to be here and to share some of those ideas with you, because you folks remember what it was like when President John Kennedy said we're going to go to the moon in 10 years. The example that the Prime Minister of Australia gave. We didn't make it in 10 years. How many of you know how many years it took us?